All right, friends, I believe we are live. Chat, can you hear us? Chat, can you hear us? We should be available for everyone to see. Good. All right, friends.
Great game, everybody.
Great game,
Great game,
everyone.
everybody. It
Thank
was really
you.
meaningful.
Thank you for bearing with us
Thank
through
you so
our
much.
opening jitters of technical difficulties. It is only proper for a Promethean game to begin with all of us, with lightning flashing, pulling our hairs out, going, "Life, give our creation life." I'm making all of the sound peak. I'm going to be coughing all night. Oh boy. All right, friends. Hello, and also players, get your audio going because I forgot to tell you to do that.
Oh,
Yeah,
It's great, guys.
it's great. We're learning. We are stumbling forward towards excellence, towards a soul. We have to take baby steps forward as we learn the very basics. Um, yeah. All right. So while my players are their backup recording technology together, hello internet. Welcome to the launch party for The Body Electric. My name is Griffin. I'm going to be the storyteller for the evening, and I am joined by my players Grayson, Kim, Steven, Logan, and Alma, who I am incredibly grateful to be working with. The Body Electric is going to be a Promethean the Created actual play. Promethean the Created is a tabletop role playing game, but instead of playing Boblin the Goblin, who's out to get gold and treasure. Oh look, see, Kim even has a pretty copy of it right there. I should show my copy off too. Instead of playing Boblin the Goblin or a Dwarven Paladin, in Promethean you play a Frankenstein monster, and it tells the Frankenstein myth from the monster's perspective. And unlike D&D, where you are out to get treasure and loot and glory, in Promethean the Created, you are out to build yourself a new soul so that you can become a human being. There's a lot more to it than that, but that's the basic premise of the game, is that we are here to tell stories about alchemical abominations who just want to be people. And we've all signed on for that. I'm super excited to work with each and every one of these players. I have seen each and every one of them in a game or two, or a decade or two, sometimes. And I know they can all do really good work. I'm going to get some bookkeeping out of the way up front, and then I'm going to pitch it to them so that you all can get to know my lovely players. But we have a couple of things just to start before then. A couple things just to handle before then. So like I said, Promethean is a game about Frankensteins who are trying to become human. That's the kind of story that we're going to be doing. We're, just so you know, later on in the evening, we are going to be taking questions from the chat. If you would like to leave us a question, just go ahead and write the word question in all caps in front of the thing that you want to ask, and then we will collect those at the break, which is going to be at around 9, and then we can get going with some of those discussions. But if you want to leave us a note, just write question in all caps. We will get back to it. All right. So I've introduced you to my players very quickly. I also just wanted to give a huge shout out to Noah Herka. Noah is the graphic designer who did the overlay that you were looking at right now. So props. And if you would like to see more that Noah has done, you can check out their website, which I'm going to post in the chat. And yes, it is Frankenstein. And we won't boot you from the chat. Big old iceberg. So there is Noah's website. There's Noah's website. Please go and look at some of the great artwork that they've done. We are really grateful to have their work featured in this channel. All right. Next up, as far as bookkeeping goes, we are going to be playing this Promethean game until one of the player characters makes a soul for themselves. There's going to be a lot more to the plot, but that's going to be the general arc. So, in the event that you wanted to follow along and listen and keep up with the rules that we are going to be using, I just wanted to post a link to the drive-through RPG for Promethean the Created, where you can download a PDF or you can order a super cool print copy like Kim and I have, which I should point out is very sturdy. So there's the drive-through RPG link in case you want to get the PDF of the Promethean rules. And then if you want to know more about Promethean in general, or if you want to know more about the Chronicles of Darkness, which is the family of games that Promethean belongs to, here is the link to the Onyx Paths page on them. Onyx Path is the developer who made Promethean the Created. So there you go. Link is in the chat. Whew. All right. So we're almost through the bookkeeping. Thank you for your patience, everyone. Just a heads up that our specific game of Promethean the Created is called The Body Electric. It is going to be about 5 different Prometheans who are all on a pilgrimage that's taking them into the Rockies because their creators have been murdered, and they are there to find out who did it, and they're there to find out whether or not they want to punish them, or maybe redeem the murderer, or maybe join the murderer. Who knows? We will figure that out as we go through the game, but that's the basic hook that I'm just throwing out there. Cool. Excuse me. Okay. Also, just a heads up that the setup that we are going to have for the Body Electric right now, the plan is to broadcast every other Friday. So our next main broadcast is going to be our character creation episode, and that is going to be on February 4th, Friday, February 4th. So it's 2 weeks from now. Then our first episode of actual live play is going to begin on February 18th. So that's, 4 weeks from now. So just keep that in mind. I am also going to do some quick 1-hour storytellers study sessions where if you want, you can log on and find me making NPCs or towns or locales for the players. And then, I'm happy to just sort of let you look at my notes as I play with them. Those are going to be on Thursdays from 7 to 8. So just an hour, or sort of quick hour to drop in and see what I'm working on. And then, just as a heads up for the Storyteller's Study players, if you want to also drop in, you're welcome to. Just let me know ahead of time so that I can get your camera set up, and also so that I don't plan anything that I would be giving away. Because then we could do like a character-centered sort of thing. That would be fun. Whew. Okay, that was my bookkeeping. So, we did it. We thanked all the people we needed to thank. We got all the links up. We solved some technical difficulties. So players, I want to give the ball over to you, allow you to introduce yourselves to the chat, both present here and all the people who will be watching this recording over the next 2 weeks as it's on our Twitch channel. Go ahead. Anyone can jump in, but just introduce yourself. Feel free to talk about what got you into gaming, what your favorite RPG is, and maybe things that stand out to you about Promethean that are starting to bubble, alchemically for you. So anyone who wants, go right ahead. I can call on people.
Well, can everyone hear me?
You're good.
Can everyone hear me?
Yep.
Are we good?
Yep.
Okay. Hi, I'm Logan. I'm the other half of the Storytold podcast. I've been with it since the beginning, it'll be 4 years in May, so it's kind of insane. I like to wrap my head around that. I got into gaming when I bought 2nd edition Werewolf the Apocalypse, which is weird because it was never my favorite game. I love it. Not my favorite game, but I love it. My favorite game is probably Changeling the Dreaming, if I'm being honest. But if I want to be highbrow, I'm going to say Invisible Sun and make myself look cooler. But we all know I'm not cool. I'm really interested in this Promethean game. It's a game I've always wanted to play, but never got the opportunity to do so. And I'll be playing this kind of like alchemist. I'm like I know it's a game about alchemy, but I'm going to be playing an alchemist because I keep really like latching onto that idea. So I'm really excited to see what I can do with that.
I have
So
I have run I have run a full Promethean game to completion, and the previous alchemist character that I had was definitely very interesting. So I look forward to your alchemist. It is a long-standing Promethean tradition to play an alchemist.
and I will let everyone know he just looks a little bit like Tom. Think like a dirtier like hitchhiking.
A dirtier hitchhiking Tom Holland was that?
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Mm-hmm. That's the vibe. That's the vibe.
All right, someone else jump on in.
I'll go.
Yeah,
All
go
right.
for it. Go for it.
Hi, yeah. My name is Kim. You can find me on Twitter at @LumisHeridan. And I am excited to be a part of this game. This is not my first Promethean game. I'm one of the players here who was in Griffin's first Promethean game. And it might be one of my favorite games because of it. I've been role playing since high school. I've been role playing well since I first met Griffin about 10-ish years ago, give or take. And I'm really excited to be here. I'm doing something different this time. I'm going to be playing an unfleshed, which is something that is human shaped but not made of human parts. And I'm a robot. I'm just a sad robot boy who wants to become a real boy.
Yep. Awesome. I'm Kim. I am super excited to have you back. I am also. I mean, we have been talking about your character a little bit, and there was just a great moment of synergy when we were like, "Oh, this kind of robot, you mean?" And then we went and found pictures. Chat. Yep. We will, internet. We'll get more into exactly what that kind of robot is at character creation in 2 weeks. But there are ideas. There are plans. It's super fun. All right, friends, who wants to jump in and introduce themselves next to the internet?
Hey, I'm Steven. I live in New York, and I am actually Logan's roommate, so we are on opposite sides of the apartment. Logan got me into gaming a few years ago. I have mostly up until now just played Changeling, Masks, and Monster Hearts, so this is my first time playing Promethean. I'm kind of a big fan of the Frankenstein story, so this whole sort of idea of it kind of really interests me. And I have picked a Galatade, and I've sort of been inspired by Olive Thomas, who was a Ziegfeld girl in the 20s that they think may have been murdered. And to this day, she's supposed to haunt the Ziegfeld Theater. So I sort of thought, because like a Galatade is a muse created in perfect image, this is kind of where I'm going with that. Some kind of actress or aspiring actress.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so.
That's really cool.
Just to say one thing, every time I think about this, I think of that movie because she wanted to be an actress too, and I'm like completely in love with the idea.
Which movie?
Logan?
That movie Igor, where he like makes that Frankenstein monster, but he like instead of making her evil, he makes her just want to be an actress because uploaded in her mind like we're all films and everything.
Now I need to see it.
We should we should do a viewing party for a couple of Frankenstein movies, because there's also a great one called Simone that's about a computerized actress, but that's neither here nor there. Yeah, so Steven, thank you so much. I'm so excited to have you on board as a new player, like coming to Promethean for the first time. I'm excited to see what our new players like take from it. So super excited to have you on board. We will get into the nuances of what it means to be each different kind of Promethean as we go. But yeah, I'm very excited for your Galatade. All right, Alma or Grayson, who wants to jump in?
I'll go.
Go for it.
Hi, my name is Grayson. I played a little bit of D&D, played in a couple games, but other than that, I haven't really done a lot of like tabletop role playing. Definitely haven't played Promethean before. The game sounds really interesting. I majored in philosophy in college, so this is definitely kind of was right up that alley in some ways. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. I'm playing a like kind of traditional Frankenstein-y type character who might be like a aspiring professional wrestler. So
Oh my goodness, Grayson, I didn't realize that you majored in philosophy. This is going to be so much fun. Please bring that to the game so hard.
it was a while ago, but yeah, yes, that.
Super excited. You are another one of our new players, and like Steven, I'm also very excited to see like what it's like for you to encounter this game for the first time and what stands out to you. So yep, very excited to have you on board, and very excited to learn that you majored in philosophy, which is going to be very applicable.
Cool.
Sweet. Alma, take us home.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Alma, they, them pronouns. I have been gaming off and on with a few big pauses for like 20 years. But it was a pretty long pause before I last joined. And the first game I joined back a couple years ago was the aforementioned first Promethean game, about halfway through. It was so much fun and I loved it so much. And I was very confused by the system, but just adored the group of people and the story and the way it was run. And it made me fall headfirst back into something that I had been taking a big pause on to focus on. So
Sweet.
before
Alma.
that,
Oh yeah, go for it.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say go. I was just go for it. Keep going, man.
Oh, before that, my favorite systems, I would say, I haven't played D&D since third edition, like not 3.5, 3.0, which should like age me a little bit. Had loved Vampire the Masquerade, also should age me a little bit. Had played a tiny bit of Changeling. Had also played a little bit of Hunter, and also like a little bit of Exalted, a little bit of Rifts. If anyone remembers, like the cluster. Are we allowed to curse on this podcast? Do we curse on this podcast?
Yes.
Interestingly enough, the mature content warning is checked, so people have to opt into this, saying they're okay with mature content. So go right ahead.
Titties. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, the clusterfuck then that is Rifts. If anyone has ever played that system, where it literally takes like 5 to 8 hours to make a character sheet, but it's like it's great. It's because you can do anything in it. But really, I love with Promethean how philosophical it is. That very humanist question of if you just assume that you do indeed want to be a human, well, what does that journey mean? I think it's really fascinating, and I am going to be playing, hopefully, a not asshole Osiren, who is a fortune teller and maybe down the line a wannabe psychologist and therapist who just really deeply is convinced that perhaps the true trick of being human lies in those tiny little everyday details like how to order coffee at a drive-through or basic traffic laws. Like maybe if we could just understand that and do that right, we would, be human.
That's awesome. I'm very much looking forward to your character, Alma. I'm glad that we have a chance to like have you start right at the beginning of character creation with us, right? You're in it from the get-go and not coming in halfway through like you did in the last Promethean game. Also I see that there's some Ulgan love in the chat. Alma played our Ulgan last time and it was super, super sweet. All right. So moving right along, the Body Electric is produced by a podcast called The Story Told. The Story Told has a Discord where the Body Electric has a little channel. And over the past week, 2 weeks or so, we've been taking questions from people on the Discord about like what they're curious about with this podcast. So if you would like to, and so we're going to take some time to answer some of those questions ahead of time, and then we're going to pitch ourselves to any questions that come up in the chat. But if you would like to join our Discord so that you can have some of that advanced access before next time, I am posting a Discord invite in the chat. It should work. I just made it fresh today. If it doesn't, I'll just go fix it. But so these are some questions that just came up on the Discord that I just wanted to like throw to you guys and see what you thought about. So a really neat question came up. Why Promethean as opposed to any other Chronicles of Darkness game? And this is kind of a question for me, being like, well, why did I pick Promethean to run? But I think it's also a question for you folks too, because it's like, why are you playing this Chronicles of Darkness game as opposed to any other Chronicles of Darkness game or any other RPG. You know, when I came to you and said, "Hey, do you want to be on board?" You know, like, what are the things about Promethean that made you say yes?
Well, I guess I'll go first.
Go for it.
Well, we kind of had an interesting journey to this. I mean, it was always going to be based on how it went, but we did a big vote for all kinds of games. But the real reason I'm playing this is because I've always wanted to play it, partly. The other part is Logan, and I'll talk about myself in the third person, has not met a game he won't play other than Fatal. And that is a deep cut that probably ages me, because people don't talk about Fatal anymore. But I'm actually just really interested on the emotional resonance that this game is going to have.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited to see where that goes.
Yeah. It definitely hits hard. Everything in Promethean is a bodily function. Like all these complex ideas about humanity end up boiling down to like, oh no, my spine is now filled with alchemical reagents and it hurts. I think I just learned how to be a person. Yeah, Promethean has some really neat, like, it has an emotional journey to it, but it always roots that emotional journey in the life of the body, which is wonderful and gross at the same time. Anyone else have anything to add to that? Like, why say yes to Promethean? Why not play some other game?
I know for me, because I'm one of your returning Promethean players, I've played a Chronicle through from creation to the New Dawn. My character actually became human at the end of a game of Promethean. I got a tattoo about it. That's how affecting it was. So for me, it's the obvious thing of, I obviously had an incredibly positive experience with this game and I want another one. But I know, going back to when we first talked about what game should we run next, we had just finished the game. What are we going to do next? Here's kind of some of our options. And Promethean was the last on my list. I did not want to play Promethean because it just sounded so, I don't know, just Frankenstein boots stomping down a hallway, didn't do anything for me. Really wanted to be a vampire, like real bad, usual goth chick stuff. And what surprised me the most about playing Promethean, because of course, bottom line is, you're running, if someone's running a tabletop game, I'm going to be in it, because this is what I do with my time, instead of contributing to society. So what stunned me about it was not just when you literally take a human apart piece by piece by piece, and you get so deep into all of the crevices of the character that you play, and you go through all of these experiences, and just like any kind of role-playing game, you get stronger and stronger and stronger, more powerful and more intense and more extreme, to the end goal of just being a regular mortal human who is going to age and shit and die. When you're a vampire, you become a more powerful vampire. When you're a changeling, you're this beautiful ethereal creature. When you're a Promethean, your goal is to be that mortal's book where you take 2 hits and you have a panic attack and you fall over in a coma. And that's like no other game is like that, where it's like, I want to max myself out to become a meat puppet, to become nothing. That goal is it's pure and strong in them. And we met so many, other splats, other kinds of Chronicles of Darkness characters that were like, why would you want to just be human when you are this incredible thing? And that was like, holy shit, why are we doing this? God, when you put it like that, God, what the hell, guys? What are we doing?
Yeah.
It's nothing's like it. Absolutely nothing is like it. That mechanic where you become so powerful just to become nothing is wild.
So one of the things that Kim is referring to, internet, is that in Promethean, you are on a pilgrimage to become a human being, and this pilgrimage ends up taking multiple steps, and you move between the steps, and every time you take another another step forward in your pilgrimage. You gain more power, but you're ultimately gaining more power so that you can give it up. And there are points in your pilgrimage when you like switch legs of your journey that you're on and take a new leg of your journey where you give up all of the powers that you had gotten previously. And so much of the pilgrimage mechanic, like Kim is referring to here, is about gaining power only to lose it and eventually lose it all. Except sometimes you can get away with keeping some, if you do the alchemy right. And it's a lovely, right, it's a lovely inversion of the standard leveling mechanic, where you're leveling up to gain more power. In this, you're leveling up to lose it all. And it's beautiful. Does anyone else have anything they want to add to that, or can we move on to the next question?
Oh, yeah, I wanted to add just two short things. One thing was Promethean specifically and the World of Darkness games. I love how role-playing heavy they are. Like that was always a thing that I enjoyed so much about any sort of tabletop RPG. And like, I'm sure Griffin and Grayson can both say like the D&D game they were part of, there are multiple times where our DM in that game is just like, well, Alma, like, what's your role? And I'm like, what role? What do you mean? What if I just do this thing like piecemeal? Isn't it fine? Like I'm constantly getting called out for like not really paying as much attention as I should to the proper mechanics because I just want to role play. And I love how much of Promethean is like all the things that Kim is saying it is. And also, like, I really honestly jumped at the chance to be in another one of your games, Griffin. I think you do an amazing job of crafting story. Like, it's very clear that you take a lot of deep time and care. Like, I've never played with a DM who, like, is specific about the timeline, like the IRL timeline of how long the game will go and the chapters it'll be in. And I really enjoy that as a role-playing experience.
Which will be very interesting for this game because I have no fucking clue. And also in this game, right, one of the lovely things about Promethean is that it's so hard to do a plot-based Promethean game. Like, one of the lovely things about Promethean is that it has to be a character-driven experience, almost like a character-driven sandbox. So as the storyteller, I have to now find all of these ways to like move you forward in the plot without actually having a plot. Because the plot is your pilgrimage. The plot is the choices that you make and whether or not they help you become human. And that's also like, I have been, with each one of you jumping in, I have just sort of been adding in the reasons that I love this game and the reason I picked this game. And that is definitely one of them, which is that like, I love the idea of doing an actual play that is character driven.
I just want to say, Griffin, I know you'll relate to this because you're a playwright also. I feel like that's kind of what I liked about this one compared to Changeling and Monster Hearts. I liked how much work went into sort of coming up with the world of the character, because it's not just the character that you are that inhabits this body. It's also the sort of perceived persona that the body then puts out. And it's just kind of it's an interesting dual autonomy.
Yeah.
I have to say the word slowly.
Yeah.
There are words I have to say slowly just to warn some of you.
It's all good. Yeah. We're all created naked and the rest is drag, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of, we're actually airing the same time as
it's
it
Drag
right
Race. I know we're going up against Drag Race. It's big brass balls on us. Kim, was that a hand? Did you have a hand raised, Kim?
No, that was a hair flip.
Oh, okay, that's fine. That's cool.
There's a joke about Rue looking like they've been raised from the dead. But I guess we won't go there.
We wouldn't dare. We wouldn't dare. We wouldn't dare.
Oh, I would.
Okay, well, cool.
Do you have the charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and monsters?
Am I one? Yeah.
So really quick, one of the Grayson, unless you have something to add to that, I'm just gonna keep jumping. Cool. One of the questions that came up on Discord was just a question about whether or not anyone needs to know anything about Promethean ahead of time in order to understand this game. And while you can, of course, go read the PDF and come along into the Discord and join the book club thread where I go through, I'm going through the book bit by bit and we can talk about the book together and I'll nerd out with you on Discord all about stuff. while you're welcome to do that, you don't have to. We do have 2 new players, and we are going to be approaching this in a step-by-step way that makes sure that they're onboarded, and in doing that, we are also going to make sure that we onboard all new folks to this game so that you don't get lost in the strange alchemies of Promethean. So do not worry. We will go through everything step by step. We've got a book club on Discord. You can always come talk to me. Like, it will be good. All right. Another question that came up that I wanted to pitch to you guys. Is what scares you about Promethean? What makes you, when you look at Promethean, what makes you go like, ooh, how the fuck am I gonna do that? Or like, what the fuck is this? I know I have my own answers, but I wanted to pitch it to you guys first.
Well, I guess in grand tradition, I'll go first again.
Great.
I am really worried that while my character is going to have the best of intentions on becoming inhuman, he's going to really like the power that he gets. And I think I can kind of see him, and I'm hoping that I can find a way around it, like narratively in play, where he quits missing the forest for the trees and realizes that becoming human means you have to go through this shit and not just like plow your way to the end, because he's going to be very much like, but this is how it has to go. I'm doing all the right things. I followed all the right steps. Why isn't it working? And I don't know, that scares me a little bit.
I have 2 words for you, and this is, again, the benefit of having done this before. Force, lightning. So talk about I don't know what will tempt your character, but one option is straight up Emperor Palpatating these bitches. So, I mean, that's in there. It's in the book. One of our dear friends in the chat is one of the ones who had that power, and I was the recipient of it. That's what scares me. It's getting electrocuted again.
It's getting electrocuted again. Kim is referring to a Promethean power that you can get, where you charge yourself with electricity and shoot lightning at people, and it hurts, and it can be tough walking away from that power. I forget exactly what it's called, but it can be tough walking away from that power. And I think that our friend in the chat managed to do a special thing that Prometheans can do, where you save it, where you don't walk away from it. So it can be a little customizable thing to hold on to. Things that scare you, things that you fear about Promethean.
I'm afraid of failing. It's gonna hurt.
Okay.
Taking a step back, getting stuck.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to get too inside baseball, because I don't want you to have to spend half the night going, well, what Kim is talking about is this.
Of course.
Trying to avoid that. But I have a nasty habit of achieving the end goal of your games, and so I'm always sort of like, am I going to do it again, or am I going to be really sad when I don't? That's.
I mean, one of the great things about Promethean, right, is you can fail at the pilgrimage.
Yeah.
You can. For a moment, I thought you were talking about failing as an actual player, and I was like, "You're not going to fail as an actual player, Kim. Don't say that."
A ring light. There's no way I'm going to fail as an actual player. I have a good ring light.
I want to speak purely in character. Failure is not an option. Not be failing. We are in this till the end, and in it to win it.
Okay. We'll see how that works. We'll see how that works out for you, Logan. Now
I'm worried.
It's not a race, but I'm getting there first. So
I'm definitely a little bit scared of the system, because as I said before, I tend to be someone who's just like, oh, I'm totally here for the role playing. Like, I loved Griffin posted for all of us a list of like required writing, which is super helpful for me. I read what I thought I needed to be completely fully honest with you, and like I got away with that the first Promethean by just weaving that into my character, where my character was like, what are waffles? Is that orange? And like, that worked. But that was very much born from me not taking the time to really read the core rulebook.
Yeah.
So I'm a little bit nervous about that.
That's understandable.
I see you.
The Promethean core is a big chonker. It's a big chonker, and there's a lot
I'm gonna vandalize it again. Here it comes.
Here we da 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 do 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 do.
It's No Mage the Ascension 20th. All right,
it is No Mage the Ascension 20th anniversary edition.
It's quite
It
quite
would be
svelte.
so helpful for my stack of books
Yep.
that I use my, it'd be great.
Alma, I just have to say I'm glad you're here because there is a grand tradition, and by grand tradition I mean I think I've only ever read 5 gaming books cover to cover. I can find anything in them, but I've only ever read 5. So yeah, no, I read what I need to, so I totally understand what you're getting at. And every time I open it up, I find something new.
To be fair,
which I
to be fair, players, I'm also not asking you to read the whole book. So like, we're not. Please don't read the storyteller section. Like, I need you not to read that. But no, yeah, I mean, this sort of ties into our conversation about like, will I need to know Promethean ahead of time to appreciate the actual play? Even will I need to know it ahead of time to appreciate it as a player? Like, no, I'll walk you through it. We'll all get through it together. It would help if you do some of the reading ahead of time so that when I say Azoth or Vitriol or Lacuna, you might, know what I'm referring to. But at the end of the day, we'll all get through it together. It'll be fine. So yeah. Cool. I am personally very afraid of, spinning out. I am personally very, very afraid of being like, I'm just gonna put you in a diner and hope that you learn something about being a person, and I'm just gonna keep quietly ramping up the stakes until someone yells at each other too much, and then the scene's over, and then did that scene actually mean anything? Oh no, what did I do? Like, I'm so worried about getting the character-driven side of this game right that I'm afraid that I'm not going to be able to do the game properly. That's just my fear. I also have great confidence in my ability to do this right. But my fear is like spinning out, giving you scenes that spin out or giving you scenes that don't go anywhere. And I have some strategies that I am deploying to make sure that doesn't happen. And we'll see. I'm also like, because I also don't want to railroad you, right? I also don't want to be like, you have to do this. Although, to be fair, Promethean does have some mechanics in it that are like, you suddenly have an angelic vision being like, the plot is that way. Why don't you go that way?
Yeah. And we can even say, hey, Griffin, I'd like to roll to have an angelic vision to tell me which way the plot is. And you'll be like, okay, 3 successes. The plot's great.
The plot's that way.
Which is great when we feel like we're spinning out.
Yeah.
Because it is, you think about how directionless you feel in life. Imagine being a shambling corpse monster and having even less direction.
Yeah.
It's like,
and
I don't know what I want or what I need. And also everybody in that town is afraid of me and they get really weird and depressed whenever I walk into town, and it makes it harder. I can't get waffles. We can't even go to the diner because we got driven out with pitchforks and torches last time we were there. And
so much of this game too is about living in that space, is about failing at doing all of that stuff, that sometimes hammering the plot home is like too much. Like, don't have an angelic vision right now. They need to be chased out of this town in order to be a Promethean game. And making that call right with the pacing is definitely something that I'm like, I've done it before. I have experience with it, but it's still a daunting challenge that I am looking forward to meeting as a storyteller. Here's a question that I had for you folks, which I think is going to be our last little question before we take a quick break. So this is just purely mine, and this is just purely me taking your temperature as players. But why do you think it's called The Body Electric?
I suppose my guess that it's like about a performing arts high school is incorrect, right?
Yes, and that.
Okay, now we're gonna have to run across a performing arts high school somewhere in the Rockies that is like severely ridden with alchemical problems.
Olive deserves this moment to fill in for the actress who has broken a leg unexpectedly.
Somebody left an Athenor in the costume closet, you guys. Don't touch it.
My hand turned into a lamb.
to me, it's that Dr. Frankenstein, Victor, he needed all that electricity from the thunder and lightning, or rather just the lightning, because thunder doesn't. Anyway, so he needed all that lightning to bring Frankenstein the monster to life.
Cool.
I think to me it's just that
And
Griffin wanted us all to have that song stuck in our heads throughout the entire freaking game.
See,
That's why.
it's so funny. I have no idea. I have probably heard this song, but it does not come up in my memory at all, at all. But I'm just going to have to address it at some point. It's not going to be the first couple games, but maybe at some point you will be wandering through the Rockies and find a heavily disquieted, wasteland-infested performing arts high school.
that is
see.
also practicing a routine of the body electric.
Yeah, or something.
Ah, okay, great. Just checking.
Yeah. Cool.
I kind of I don't know because it's I think it's multifaceted. It's partially a lampshade of the mechanics of being animated by a chemical fire, and I think it's also isn't the poem about like singing body parts like these are my feet are so great. It's like a this giant Whitman poem about like these are my eyebrows, they're spectacular, and here's my penis and it's amazing, and like it's going like item by item in a body and really framing it piece by piece by piece.
Here's my.
I don't know this poem.
We'll dissect
You don't-
another time.
Is it a Whitman poem or
Leaves
am I
of
having...
Grass. It's a reference. It is a reference to Leaves of Grass, and I believe the song itself is a reference to Leaves of Grass as well. Yes.
I sing the body electric.
I sing the body
that's what we're
electric.
doing.
Yeah.
I was really afraid I had put my
Mine was
entire
to Mary
lower leg in
Shelley,
my
so
mouth.
I'm smart too.
What was that, Steven?
I said mine was to Mary Shelley, so I'm smart too.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
All valid references.
The reason that I ask is that I'm still figuring it out myself. I have thoughts about the main antagonist, and how this title affects the main antagonist, who is the person who murdered all of your character's creators. I have thoughts about that. I have thoughts about all of the little like sub antagonists underneath them and how it's all connected. But I'm still figuring it out, and so yeah, I just wanted to see what that phrase sparked in you. Ba-doom-cha. What that phrase sparked in you. You know, what expectations you all had, stuff like that. All right, we need a break. We're getting a little loopy. That's a good thing on Twitch, I think. So yeah. So okay. So we're gonna take a little break. Chat, we will be back at around 9:05 or 9. Let's call it 9:07. Full 10 minutes. We will be back around 9:07. Feel free to throw any questions that you have into the chat, and we will answer them. All right, I'm gonna move over to our freshly made BRB screen. See you soon, everybody. All right, everyone, we are back with the Body Electric launch party. Woo!
Woo!
Launching it, partying it, having a good time. Taking questions from the chat, taking questions from my brain. All right, so now comes the part of the evening where we take questions from the chat, if you guys are around and listening, and have any questions about what this game is going to be, anything about us as, gamers, anything about Promethean as a system that you want to air and get off your chest. Now's the time to do it. I have some other questions. Oh, thanks, Lil Miss Harridan, who may or may not also be a player.
Yeah, sorry. It's so hard when a new group of friends gets together for the first time, and oh my, this soup is delicious, isn't it? Chat, while you are thinking about questions, I have a couple to throw to the players that I'm just interested in from a storyteller to player kind of perspective. We had sort of started dipping into what we have planned for our characters so far. Is there anything that really stands out to you about the type of planning that you have done for your character? Like, Kim, maybe this is a time when we talk about what kind of robot we have planned or that you have planned. Sure, yeah. Things that stand out to you about how far you've gone in your character. This is not the character creation episode yet, so you do not need to have any solid things planned yet. Do not worry. This is not the character creation episode. That's in 2 weeks. But as far as like things that are bubbling alchemically in your brain space, what are you thinking? What are you feeling? And then Kim, tell us about your robot, maybe. Do you want me to start with that?
Yeah, go for it.
So my initial concept, I decided I wanted to do an unfleshed because it was sort of the complete inverse of what I've done before, which was a Tammuz. And I wanted initially to do a little bit like that Simone movie, like a piece of software that was designed to be like a CGI actor that had too much AI programmed into it and became aware. And then I was sort of bringing forth, do I actually have to have a physical part of myself to start? And you then, sagely pointed out, and I was aware of this, and I just kind of finally put two and two together. At Disneyland, see, now we're gonna get the now it's over. I've said the word.
the big mouse is coming.
The white puffy hand of the mouse is gonna come and just strangle us. But at Disneyland, for their like Marvel superhero world, they have the Spider-Man meet and greet where he jumps. They have an actor, so God bless him, jumping all around, doing back handsprings and crap, and then he kind of runs away, and then they launch this incredibly sophisticated, articulate crash dummy that is programmed to act like a human flying through the air, and lands, but it acts like Spider-Man in the air. And they're not just flinging a dummy. It's this incredibly elaborate, programmed, augmented, synthesized, stunt bot. And so that became the character that I am. The concept is that he is a stunt performing automaton. His name is an acronym. I think it's on my box right now, and I have it written out. He's a stunt performing robot that is fully automated to make decisions in order to safely execute these stunts. And there was so much passion put into his creation that he became sentient and was animated and now seeks to become fully human. So he unlike I think everybody else's shambling corpse monsters, I have no corpse. I have no physical flesh and blood component. I am a 3D printed, aluminum and carbon fiber bot that looks like a movie actor that I'm just going to make up a movie actor for.
Yeah.
For the so that I'm not pulling too much from the real world, but I have someone in mind just for my own visual whatever, because I like to put a face to a character. But so like he's got like that creepy makeup department like cast of the guy's face and like a bad wig kind of just stapled into place. And whenever part of him breaks, he can just 3D print himself a new one if he's got access to that. So he's designed to be breakaway.
Yeah. My
he's a little delicate.
my favorite thing when we were sort of researching this together and like getting that thread going, was finding an interview on Wired with the people who made that robot. And there's a point where there's a point in the interview where they're like, oh yeah, we've had to break this so many times, that just like really spoke to the fucked up relationship between demiurges and their creations. That that's a standout little thing for me that I want to work in now, where you have like two demiurges who are like,
Yep.
who want to
These
break
guys
you.
were these guys, they're so clearly incredibly passionate about and excited about and nerdy about this project, and they're so protective of it, but at the same time it's like, yeah, we designed him so that if he just smashes into the side of the building, we can reprint those pieces. It's the servos in the middle that are the most important, that really matter. And it's just sort of like, boy, I hope taking no additional dots in Constitution doesn't come to bite me in the ass later. That'll be fun. It'll be great.
Sweet. Let's
I do have several dots in Drive, guys. So there's that. I have that going for me.
I have all I know about the first game is that it's going to involve you stealing a car. Is that there's going to be a diner and it's going to involve you stealing a car somehow. That's all I know, and I have a month to figure it out. So yeah, let's pass the ball. What are we thinking? What's bubbling as far as our characters go? What's standing out as far as our ideas?
So I originally started thinking that I wanted to do sort of an aspiring actor or actress, who fell into the body of Sarah Bernhard, and I was really drawn to that. But then I started thinking more about like the undead a little bit, and there's been a lot of news about theater in New York, obviously because of its reopening and reclosing and reopening and reclosing. So I started thinking about Olive Thomas, who was a Ziegfeld Folly girl, who had an affair with Flo Ziegfeld, who was married to Billy Burke, who played Glinda in The Wizard of Oz, but then wound up marrying Jack Pickford, who became incredibly famous. And Jack Pickford had a mansion years later with his then wife, Mary Fairbanks. And that mansion is considered to be one of the most haunted places in America, because people have tried to like restyle it and everything, and every time they try, terrible things seem to happen, and like ladders are knocked out from under people working. And anyway, so I started thinking more and more about it, and so I sort of thought, I love the idea of this, I don't know, spirit or whatever, like inhabiting some person so desperate to become a famous actor or actress because that's who they feel to be maybe the most human, because others relate to them. So for me, as a playwright and a theater lover, it was sort of a way to talk about, I guess, or explore rather, people who, you know, we escape our own humanity to portray others' humanity, if that makes any sense.
Totally, and this is the right game. This is the right game to be having that conversation. This is the right, the right medium for that. Yeah. All right, let's pass the ball. What are we thinking? What's got us going as far as our characters go?
Let's see. I was, I guess, thinking just a lot about tragic lumps of flesh.
Yes. Tragic Lumps of Flesh, the new band.
Yeah, and it kind of made me think about. And I grew up watching a lot of professional wrestling when I was a kid, and I feel like a lot of the wrestlers that I grew up with, I don't know, there was and a lot of the wrestlers I grew up with were like independent wrestlers and wrestlers that would do a lot of like hardcore stuff and stuff like that, where they weren't getting really paid a lot of money, but they were like on a weekly basis, mutilating themselves with barbed wire and fire and all this other stuff. And I don't know, kind of how that's maybe even left them later in life, like without much to show for it. And for whatever reason, that's kind of what this game made me think of in some ways. Just the idea of the tragic lumps of flesh, and professional wrestler character kind of came out of that.
Yeah.
Frankenstein. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and as a Frankenstein, right? You're also multiple different tragic lumps of flesh lumped
Right.
together. So yeah, that's money. And there's a neat thing there too, where like I feel like it's sort of related to the drag conversation, where professional wrestlers have so much of a persona that their persona gets so big that that's ends up being like a way into finding out what it is to be a person, because they're this like larger than life thing. And they have to be larger than life in order to like understand themselves and reflect back on themselves. This is also tying into what Steven is working with for Olive, and like what it means to be like famous as well too. Yeah, I'm super excited for that, Grayson. That sounds like so much fun. All right, let's pass the ball. What are we thinking? Or we can move on to another question.
I would really like to hear what Alma's thinking. I don't know. That's the one character I don't know anything about.
Yeah, totally. As far as character direction, I think that like with my character, there was like in the very beginning, when I heard Promethean, my very first initial instinct was like, I want to play my old Olgan Say, because I loved playing that character. They were very fun to play, and because I did come in and kind of like the second half, last third of the game, I just really wanted to play them more. So I definitely had a moment where like I want to play them, but no, new character, new character. But oh, like what was it about that character that I so loved? But how can I make sure to like have fun with that energy, but not just be like, this is day, not at all. Like I didn't want to cheapen anything by doing that. I think that the thing that I really loved about Promethean and loved about Say, my old Olgan, was their really deep, genuine curiosity about the human world around them. And so I was kind of thinking about, well, what are other ways that I can just like enjoy that headspace of like what it is to be like super fascinated by something, but just not get it.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, and then from there I was like at first thinking like maybe I still want to play an Olgan, and I did want to play an Osiren, but I was like, oh, but they seem like kind of assholes. I don't know if I want to play a total egotistical asshole. Yeah. So it kind of came around to like fortune teller.
Yeah.
That trade fortune for show me how to do this thing. It'll let me play out like stupid, fun, silly things in a slightly different way than saying called.
Well, and I love what you're saying about knowing a thing but not understanding a thing, and how you can play that as an Olgan. Olgans, by the way, chat, are Prometheans who are sort of like shaman Prometheans who have a connection to the spirit world. And so when an Olgan doesn't understand something, it's because they have an alien kind of consciousness that still hasn't figured out what it is to be a person yet. But I feel like when an Osiren doesn't understand something, it's because they're too logical about it. Which is a very similar story, but also a completely different story. So it's a great way to get at what you want while also telling it in a different way. Also, I miss Say as well. I just want to throw that out there, and thank you for committing to playing a new character as well. It's going to be easier for an audience to jump in on the ground floor, but I also know, like, I know and love your character as well too. So I just wanted to pour one out for Say.
Pour one out for Say, but not literally. But I think also like that obsessiveness with what it is to be human. I think that the thing that I love about the World of Darkness games in general and how they build up their being so roleplay heavy, I think that thematically the different games focus on different very core, often very like passionate and romanticized versions of, but very core aspects of the struggle of what it is to be human.
Yep.
You know, I think Promethean does that in a very like right at the heart of it.
Yep.
You know, like it is a very like humanist focused book.
Yeah.
And I love that. And I love that especially like as someone who like is genderqueer and has really struggled with like depression and anxiety and all those things of like that question of like what does it mean to be a human being? What do I actually enjoy about being a human? What do I not enjoy? What feels kind of like an alien experience that everyone else, quote unquote, is or should be feeling?
Yeah.
Do I actually want to be feeling that thing? Do I not care that I don't feel this thing that everyone, quote unquote, is definitely absolutely experiencing? I think Promethean allows the exploration of that in ways that are really interesting.
That's really powerful, Alma. Thank you for sharing. And another thing that you're touching on too is that I think I'm getting my dramaturgy right, where the designers of Onyx Path have specifically come out and said that the goal for Chronicles of Darkness, if not also World of Darkness, was looking at humanity from the perspective of a monster, and finding what it is to be human by playing monsters. So like you're right. You have hit the nail directly on the head. That's what Promethean's about. That is ostensibly what all of these games are about too. But I think you're right. I think Promethean is really like, no, really, we're about trying to become a person. So yeah. Anyone want to throw some stank on that, or do we want to move on to another question?
Well, I guess I'll go.
Go for it.
I'm obsessed with the pilgrimage. Like,
Yeah.
I find it fascinating. And the reason I'm obsessed with it is because I've read about it, but in my head it is not clicking how it actually functions.
Mm-hmm.
And so I am just like, because I can't put those puzzle pieces together because I don't know what that looks like, I'm just sitting here thinking like, well, okay, what do I need to do? How many of these do I need? What lists do I need to look at? I need some kind of anchorage point. And so with this character, I really wanted to think about the idea of alchemy, which this baked into this game, sure. But like what it would mean for someone on a pilgrimage to be turning themselves essentially from lead into this theoretical gold of humanity, and what that's going to look like and how that's going to play out, I think is kind of like what I'm like really diving into and what I sink my teeth into really.
Yeah.
It's the pilgrimage stuff. It's the journey, not the destination for me right now.
Yeah. And the wild thing about this is that your confusion as a player is manifest in the game. Like the game is sort of designed for you to have that confusion. The game is equipped with mechanics that allow your character to also go, well, where's the roadmap? Where do I go? What do I do? Who do I talk to? Why do I feel this way? Why is it so easy for that person to do this and I can't do it? Like that's the Lego bricks of the little, space shuttle that we're building right now is that confusion and that conflict and that lostness, that feeling of being lost on this journey.
Yeah.
Is in there already. So if you feel it, don't feel, don't get stressed that you feel that, use it. Because it's baked into that.
Okay.
I'm mixing my metaphors, but it's in there.
I feel like that's why Promethean is actually one of the best games to run with new players, because like you almost don't have to worry about character creation as much, because like the whole game is character creation. Like you're not done yet. You're not done being made yet. Like there's so much like, wait, do I do this or like you were talking about, Kim, like it's a lot of fun.
And then, like if you sit down to make a vampire, you can sit there and go, okay, well, I was born in Chicago in 1974 and I went to this school and I was doing this thing and I got turned in 1997. So I actually should be 46, but I'm probably 25. And you can spend as much time as you want building out this history. Or I was born in 1835 and I hung out at the Moolah. I'm not calling anybody out here or anything.
Rude.
Rude. Yeah, rude. No, it's great. But that's what I mean. It's like you can, and perhaps depending on the game and the players and the storyteller should sit down and go, yeah, I was turned in 1832 and I remember when Paris still had gaslight before electricity was built in. But with Promethean, if you're starting at the beginning, you're starting at the beginning. You're a baby. You're an infant. The first couple weeks or months or however long you're shambling around, you're effectively useless. You're learning how to function as just a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you're starting to kind of go, okay, wait, now I understand that I have to, if I need something, I can't just take it. I have to ask somebody for it. Like you're really kind of a toddler, and you can have these echoes of what you or parts of you might remember, or you could just be like, dang, what's a waffle, like you are starting at the beginning. You don't have to have a backstory. My trash self made a backstory for the corpse that my character was inhabiting that was not his, but later, down the road, I was like, oh yeah, here's his complicated backstory about this poor dude who was just doing the thing and got made into a monster by mistake. But I mean,
It
you
makes
don't
me
need
think
that.
a little bit of the TV series Dead Like Me.
Yeah, a little bit.
Like that sort of like inhabiting a body that was there and suddenly stopped existing, and now you inhabit it.
Yeah,
But
especially I think you're you're a Galatean, right?
yeah,
Yeah, so especially that.
yeah.
Cool. Sweet.
I love that.
Sweet. I will have to go watch Dead Like Me. I unfortunately haven't seen it, but I should do it for research.
Wait, but also you're a theater nerd, and Mandy Patinkin is in it.
Oh, fun!
It's so good. Whoa. It is really truly good. It holds up well too.
Awesome.
Basically,
great. Grayson is giving me a double thumbs up, so I know that I have to watch it. Yeah.
Yep.
We'll
add that to the viewing
Wings
list.
and arrows with dead people.
Holy shit! That just sold. That gave me an enema. It sold me so hard.
Like, it's the same.
Wait. We just need to sit with that one for a moment.
It is.
And we can go on again.
It's the sense of humor and level of wit of slings and arrows. But they're dead.
Sweet.
Enjoy it.
Awesome. Okay. So with that said, let's.
Anybody need a roommate?
Another question that I had for you guys, just sort of as a storyteller, is sort of building off of that. Like, we've talked about what's already bubbling for you about your characters, but I wanted to know, are there, and this actually ties directly into what we were just talking about. Are there specific places that you look and go to for inspiration for this game? Are there wells that you regularly tap in order to get yourself thinking about Promethean, come up with ideas, stuff like that? Like, I know there is this guy who's like one of the fathers of neuroscience, who came up with the idea of what a neuron was, and he did it because he was like an artist as a kid, but his dad made him become a doctor, but he always drew, and as he was studying brains, he started having these strange dreams about like trees, and he started drawing them, and that's these are like early pictures of where neurons come from. I think his name is Santiago y Cajal, but if you Google like Santiago y Cajal dreams or neurons, you can find all these sort of like haunting pictures of like dendrites, and that always makes me think of Promethean, like that whole story, and those pictures always puts me in a very Promethean place. It's like, is there media that you go to get yourself thinking about this, or is there philosophy that you go to get yourself thinking about it? We can also just talk about music that makes us think of Promethean if we want to.
Promethean really makes me think of semiotics a lot, and I get really obsessive over symbols and why things mean something.
Sweet.
And that combined with having my master's in photography, thinking about photography and film stills, and like these weirdly disjointed, beautiful sometimes moments that are just taken out of context of everything, and that's kind of where Promethean.
Yeah. Awesome. I will have to. I mean, somewhere there is. I think I have a copy of something in simulacra, something about that.
Yeah.
Somewhere I should probably go read that, because it's probably really important.
I should probably reread that. It's been about a decade.
Well, I can't. So I've never played this before.
Yeah.
So I guess I can't really speak from that, but I've noticed that when I create characters for different games, I think that it ties into the fact that I'm a playwright who likes working with historical fiction.
Sure.
I'm really drawn to actually like interesting historical figures. I also mostly write about women, and I'm very drawn to just women's stories. Really amazing, badass bitches through history. It just kind of they're awesome, and I think like women should rule the world. So I don't know. I'm sort of drawn to those kind of characters. But I heard you mention music that makes me think of Promethean. So
I think we heard the first chord of that, and then I think it cut out.
It blew out.
It might have blown up the mic.
Anyway, it's Carmina Burana, O Fortuna.
Oh.
Bomb, bomb.
Yeah. We are specifically going for a very Sturm und Drang kind of
Thank
game
you.
too. So
Although, and I mean this as a compliment, I do think we have found
we found what, Logan? You cut out for a second.
the drama queen of our throng.
Yeah, the Galatean. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's natural. That's
Listen, our favorite playwright is Friedrich Schiller, and the only person here who'll get that is probably Griffin. But I hope others get it.
I think it's gone slightly over my head.
Oh, Friedrich Schiller. Oh, sir, we must fix this.
Oh, sure. Let's do it. Let's do it.
knock everything over.
Grayson and I watched the movie The Wrestler a couple nights ago.
Okay.
Which Grayson specifically wanted to watch to research the character, but that led to an interesting conversation about is this character, would it be interesting to have this character be younger and really embody that young struggling oh, you're not my real dad and I'm gonna do my thing and I'm trying to figure it out, or would it be interesting to play older, burned out, I've tried everything, I don't know what's left, I don't think there's any other paths for me.
Yeah.
And that definitely to me brought up a lot of interesting questions about those kind of philosophical things about this game, because there is this thing where just existential crises does tend to kind of look a little differently depending on what stage of life you're in, but there are constant existential crises, right, to be had.
Yeah, and right, the answer to that question I think is both, right? Because you're both young and old as a Frankenstein. You are both freshly created and you're not my real dad because you're not my real dad actually, and also bitter and broken all just by being stitched together. You're already broken. So right, you can oscillate between those two things too. You can be, you're not my real dad 1 second and the world has never understood me. The world won't understand my my suffering, the long suffering that I've seen, in another second. So yeah, that's exciting. I need to go see The Wrestler now too. I need to see The Wrestler. I need to see Dead Like Me. At least I've seen Simone. I've done a little bit of my homework.
You don't need to see The Wrestler.
Griffin, I genuinely hope you're being a little tongue in cheek, because I think that's the thing. I think there's so many approach homework to this.
I'm sorry, what was that, Logan?
I said I think the interesting thing is that there's so many different ways to do your homework for this.
Oh yeah,
the thing. I don't think there's any wrong way to do it.
Oh yeah. I'm just saying oh look. Okay, well, and this is the thing too. Promethean, you try to tell someone that you're for the past 2 weeks I've been I've got an actual play coming up. Oh really? What's it about? Constructs. It's about constructs.
Yeah,
That's really hard to sell.
Yeah. When I my mother goes, "What game are you playing tonight?" When it's D&D, it's easy. When it's vampire, oh, we're vampires tonight. Oh, we're werewolves tonight. And sometimes it's sort of is this the one where you are the things? So the easy. This one doesn't. It could be a little bit tougher to sell because it really. I mean, we're all Frankenstein monsters. This is the super fast way I put it. I always joke because I got a tattoo to honor the last game, and people say, "Oh, what's it about?" I'm like, "Do you want the short version of the story, or do you want the long version of the story?" Because it's very long. Because I could go on and on and on about Promethean constructs and alchemical fire, and I'm like, it's just a Kate Bush lyric. Don't think real hard, but it's a little bit tougher to elevator pitch to somebody. You need a big building.
Yeah. Which is why, right, Logan, I'm so interested in my head in making that list of homework, because actually construct stories are everywhere. Like, Frankenstein stories are everywhere. One of the cool things about Promethean is that the developers went back and they're like, yes, Galatea and Frankenstein are very similar stories, and we're going to put them in the same game together. Which is remarkable. It's so remarkable that it defies easy description. But right, there's Galatea, there's the Golem, there's Frankenstein. There's constructs. There are construct stories everywhere. And so when I find one, I'm like, I gotta grab it. So that's what I mean by research or homework. Yes, I'm being a little tongue in cheek.
Oh, I was just trying to tell you to be nice to yourself.
Oh, okay. Well, I think the larger point was at least established. I'm not going to listen to advice on being nice to myself because I'm neurotic.
Why start now?
Why start now? I just turned 35. Oh my god!
3.5 decades of this bullshit under my belt. I'm not starting now.
Yeah. We have a message from the chat has described Promethean as an angstier Pinocchio, and that's very true. Pinocchio, but angsty.
Isn't Pinocchio pretty angsty anyway?
That's actually the original Pinocchio story is really fucked up.
Yeah, whenever you go back to the original German version of the fairy tale, it's frightening. Yeah.
And I think he dies at the end.
Or was that Little Mermaid? I forget.
Yeah.
Little Mermaid dies at the end. I mean, so basically it's Promethean. It's 50-50. You don't know what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
Pinocchio is actually like a old school Italian tale, but the one where he died at the end is Little Mermaid.
Yes.
Cool.
Pinocchio is Castellino. I can make this joke. I have a Scottish last name, but I'm Italian.
I'll allow it. Oh, we have the most important question of the night. What will this game's forbidden cat be? We got. I mean, we're in the Rockies. We're gonna. The world is our oyster.
Okay. I need someone to explain the concept.
Okay.
I mean,
Right.
what a forbidden cat is. I get the word, but I need context.
A forbidden cat is an animal that is cat-like that you should never actually ever have as a pet. But oh my gosh, you want one so bad as a pet and you want it to treat it exactly like a cat. Example, a possum, raccoon, fox, red panda.
Skunks.
Yes,
Could be a
skunks! Oh my gosh, this game
could definitely be a skunk.
Which apparently if you get them scented or whatever, they apparently make really pets. I've heard this. It might be true.
Foxes would be great. Maybe perhaps a young bobcat.
I like how Kim just immediately vetoed the skunk.
I'm a brainstormer. I'm just throwing ideas. I'm throwing the spaghetti at the wall to see if it sticks. So
French bulldogs.
Oh, a French bulldog as forbidden cat.
A terrible cat is a French bulldog.
Maybe something just significantly larger than a cat, like a sheep. Or
there you go.
Yeah.
Cat.
Yeah.
Or a bear. Just a grizzly bear.
Just
this
a
is
bear.
our pet cat. It's a grizzly bear.
I think whatever this game's forbidden cat is, we're gonna have to find it in the game. I think we have to let it come to us.
Yeah, in the same way that Porch Cat did.
In the same way that Porch Cat did. Porch Cat, for the audience at home, was a possum familiar from the previous game.
This was. I mean, if you want to kind of drop the curtain a little bit and talk about what the audience can expect from us as players, is a lot of strong yes and energy.
Yep.
Because my character just made the offhand comment that because I just had this cute idea because he was such a nurturing kind of guy that he was leaving like cans of tuna out for the neighborhood cat, and Alma, in their infinite like immediate brilliance,
Yes,
was
and.
like, it's possum.
It's obviously a possum.
I can't say no to that.
The rabid possum has been eating the cat food that you've been leaving out.
Yep.
Now that's Porch Cat.
Yeah. So that's so when you see us making Porch Cat jokes, that's the like mascot of the previous game.
Was Porch
Come
Cat.
back Was
To
Porch
this
Cat.
day, we will still post possum memes to each
Yep.
other in a couple of years, and still.
We're so fucked.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's I as a teaser / warning to the audience. There's some strong past the energy high school improv class action happening here.
Well, right, and what a good game to do that in, right? Like
Yes.
Promethean is a game about yes-anding a lot, yes-anding until you grow a soul, you know.
I think any tabletop game, I keep saying it, like, you can roll the dice all you want, but you can't sit there and be like, no, that's not the right castle. You can't say no. You've got to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
That's also my DMing style, is I just say yes to everything until something cool happens. So
Cool.
can I have this? Yes.
So we are slowly starting to come up on the end of the night, folks. So I wanted to throw out to the players sort of what you already started doing, which is like, I've been asking you questions all night. Do you folks have any questions for me that I can answer in front of the chat and on camera, on record, as we go forward? Are there any questions? Yeah, go for it, Logan.
Surprise you. We can just anything.
Just anything.
I'm curious, based on what you've heard of our something that's been percolating over the past week or so. What do you think our through line as characters kind of is? I mean, pilgrimage aside, and what are you most excited to do to illustrate that to us?
So the through line is a thing that I have sewn directly onto the murderer. Sewn directly onto the murderer. That's the thing that I want to see. I want to figure out for each of you is like, what is your stake in coming back to the, because I've sort of arbitrarily given that to you. Like, you've come back to the Rockies to deal with this person, but I'm really curious about how, because Logan, there's such an opportunity for you in particular to be like, for anyone really, but it sounds like from what you're describing, like your character's like, I'm going to be the best at being a human ever. And having that not work for them, like, there's such an opportunity for you to be like, oh, I see your point, antagonist. Like, I get it. Maybe I want to become more like you instead of more like a person. So because the bad guy's a Centimani, I think that's pretty clear, or Centimanus. And so yeah, I don't really know the through line yet. I have antagonistic forces that I'm going to just kind of hit you with and see what happens, and maybe it will be good TV. I'm hoping. But I think that as far as I go, the through line is entirely tied to that antagonist and what you guys end up taking from that antagonist. And then, yeah, because we don't have the characters made yet, I don't necessarily have too much about, like, where you all fit in relation to each other, but also I feel like that's bubbling already. So I kind of don't want to even talk about it yet. I just kind of want to let it bubble.
That was gonna be my question, was
got it.
But maybe that's better for our character creation session is starting now. I'll ask it anyway, just for shits and giggles.
Sure.
Start, with the little tiny germinated seeds of characters that we have at the moment. Do you have anyone in a place in your head for the 5-man band trope, which is the trope that every squadron of characters, like heroes, protagonists, tends to not always, it's not a hard and fast rule, but it's a trope, tends to fall into the roles of the leader, the lancer, help me here,
leader, lancer, smart guy, big guy, and heart.
Thank you. Yes.
Let's see.
Because I'd love to come back to this when it's all over and be like, well, we were wrong.
Let's see. Off the top of my head, based entirely on what I know now, which is not a lot, and no one should stick to anything that I'm about to say.
This we should come back to this for after character creation when we're all
totally, and be like, oh yeah, no, this is completely different. Yeah,
updated.
Based on what you've told me, I think Gabriel's the smart guy. I think Victor's the big guy. I think Owen's the leader. I think Olive's the heart, which leaves Casper as the lancer, which I'm not really sure about.
I think Logan and I might have to fight for that.
Yeah.
Which one's the lancer?
The lancer is the one who's always questioning the leader.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, this is like bare bones.
Yeah.
Beginning of the journey.
Yeah.
Just so that we can look back at this.
I feel
in however many months and laugh about it.
For posterity's sake, let me just say that I feel the most confident right now about Gabriel being smart guy and Victor being big guy. The other three I'm unsure about.
It could go any way.
Yeah.
Well, because Logan, you were saying that your character was really committed to the pilgrimage. Like that could lead to very leader type energy.
But I don't think it's like that. I think it's like a kind of a bit of like a endearingly stubborn obstinance. Does that make sense?
It does. To me, you can still do leader. Like Prometheans don't have a society, so it's not like they're actually forming groups, of that are leading or anything like that. But yeah, I don't know. At the end of the day, I feel most confident based on what you guys have said about Gabriel being smart guy and Victor being big guy. The rest I'm uncertain about. Okay.
Thank you for indulging that incredibly important and thought-provoking question.
That's a great question. I just don't have a great answer for it right now.
I'm doing it now to kind of take the temperature because, like I said, it's going to be great to do this after character creation.
Yeah.
And then I think it's going to be really great to look at it at the end.
Yeah.
And be like, whoop, nope.
Should we put all of this on the website too, just as weird...
We can just keep it in Kim's book. We don't have to be too public about it. It can just be for us.
Okay, we're streaming this on Twitch already, not just for us.
Okay, friends. It is 9:48 by my watch, so we need to start wrapping this up. So I just wanted to once again call our attention to the schedule going forward. The next stream that we're going to have is next Thursday, January 27th. It's going to be 1 hour, and it's going to be just Griffin doing his storyteller's study, making NPCs, building towns for these guys to go into, whatever you want. Feel free to pop in, say hello, talk to me about what it's like to plan a game. So January 27th, 7 to 8, that's the next stream. Stream after that, February 3rd, 7 to 8. It's going to be specifically a storyteller's study about character creation, because we're about to head into character creation. So you can talk to me about like what it is to facilitate a conversation about a group of people making a character and all that other fun stuff. Again, just an hour, just saying hi. After that, the next stream is episode 0. That's Friday, February 4th, 8 to 11. That's the next big stream. It's going to be 3 hours long. All of the players are going to be back, and we are going to do character creation, and we're going to do character creation at that time. So again, that is Friday, February 4th, 8 to 11. After that, we've got 2 more Thursdays of storyteller study where you can just pop in and hang out with me. That's on the 10th and the 17th, 7 to 8. And then after that, episode 1, our first episode of actual gameplay, will be on Friday, February 18th from 8 to 11. And that's all of these players will be back, and we will actually be we will get these shambling monsters shambling and ready to go and interacting with the world. It's going to be super fun. All right. So that's our schedule. Do we have any final thoughts from players that you want to add to the list? Our cameras have gone off for some reason, and it's the end of the stream, so I'm not going to correct it now.
Right.
So does anyone have any final... we're just all moving around. Does anyone have any final thoughts?
I'm really excited about this.
Yeah.
Like super, super, super excited about this. And I think that the 5 of us, well, 6 of us with you, but like the 5 of us that are going to be your players, Griffin, I feel like we have a really cool synergy with each other. Like I feel like we pick up on each other's jokes and shade in the right way. And I can't wait to see that translate into our character.
Got it. Steven, it looks like is having some Discord problems, like Discord crashing. So that's why the cameras are being weird. It's fine.
That's all right.
Oh, look, he's back. Hooray. We fixed it.
Yay.
We fixed it by doing nothing. That's what I like.
Yeah, my Discord totally crashed. Sorry.
That's okay. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen, and we're gonna live with it. Does anyone else have any final thoughts they just want to throw out there for posterity?
Thank you, Griffin, for inviting me to play Promethean again, considering you did it once before. You did not have to do it a second time, so I'm very grateful. You could have looked at me, nah, but you didn't, and I'm grateful to be here, and I'm very excited to be playing with everybody.
Great. I am also very grateful to have all of you here. Each and every one of you like brings a very specific fun thing to this table, and I'm very, very excited to have you all here and get cooking, you know? Steven, you were going to say something.
I was just going to say, as a new player, I really appreciate all the care you've put into it. I get kind of nervous about gaming with people who are much more experienced with it than me, and I feel like this group is totally patient and awesome. And I think that's also good for story told listeners who might be new to gaming and want to get into it. It's good to hear people like me feel welcome and safe to do their thing. So thank you, Griffin and Logan.
Thank you very much, Steven. We're happy to have you.
Yeah, this is gonna be fun.
It is. All right. If that is all, then friends, I think that we are going to call it maybe a couple of minutes early. And just as a last note, I wanted to say, like, thank you for joining us on this lovely launch party. We are so excited to bring this game to you. We are so excited to have you around. Please tell everyone you know. Spread it far and wide, because this is going to be a very interesting set of alchemical experiments that happen on this channel in the next couple of months. And I have no idea how they're going to go, but we'll find out together. So with that said, I'm going to try to get the tech to work, and bid us, yes, let's make some monsters, Kim. Yeah, let's bid you good night. Have a lovely night. We will see you soon. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Good night.
Here's the story.